Hi there, welcome to this channel. I am Danelle. I've been an oil painter and artist for about 40 years, but lately I've been trying some new mediums, some new styles, and bringing you along with me. And if you like to follow some art in all different mediums, oils, pencils, watercolor, now I have acrylic gouache. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I do art vlogs every week, bringing you through our gorgeous wilderness out here in Southeast Alaska. And if you would like to support the channel, hit the like. I'd love to have you as part of this community that I'm building. So anyway, let's get started with this week's art tour. The newest medium that I've been trying just this week, I just got these in the mail, are some acrylic gouache paints. And I have definitely not mastered them yet. I'm still figuring out how to use them. This is a sketch I did on a local beach this morning. I haven't been able to figure out whether I like putting down the darks first, like oil paints or acrylic paints, or whether I like putting the lights down first. This one I approached in making a pencil sketch, and then I just started from the background and came forward, just trying to not even really block in so much as to just fill in the colors more clearly. Here is the first sketch that I did with this acrylic gouache. I had just gotten the paints in the mail and I was cooking dinner, and so I just picked up I just opened a photo on my phone and then just really quickly painted that. It actually turned out really fun. I love how vibrant the colors are. And maybe it's because I was just trying to go quickly and not trying to be all perfect, that it is a much more exciting picture than is this one. I guess to my credit, it was a rainy, misty day, so the colors were not very vibrant. This was from a photo on a really sunny day. So I guess if I keep going with this medium, I can just try to be more clear and concise with my shapes and colors like I was in this one. Even though this one's not perfect, this blue is insanely blue, but this one is actually much more fun to look at. I like the composition, the way this S kind of goes back in here. And this one was just what was in front of me. So I'd like to keep experimenting with these acrylic gouache paints. This is the set. I got this off of eBay. There's not a lot of brands to choose from, and I don't really like buying sets. I do not really like the color of scarlet, for instance. It's kind of an odd, weird, kind of pinkish color. I don't really like that. I would like to, I will probably never use black, maybe not Viridian, so really I'm only using ultramarine, yellow oxide, the purple, yellow. I'm using this red. I don't love this red. I think it's just called primary red. Yeah. And then the white. This was a slightly used set. She made it sound like she had barely opened one and used just a little bit. I've made these two small paintings and the white is already out, so I'm not super happy about that. So I would like to keep experimenting with these, so I'm going to see if I can buy singles in only the colors that I want to try. But this is an interesting medium. It's kind of like acrylic paint, where once it dries, you're not really able to pick it up again like you can with watercolor or gouache. I've never ever used gouache before, traditional gouache, so I just started with the weird one. It's not transparent like watercolor, so I kind of like that because you get these very vibrant colors, but I managed to make them not so vibrant here. But this was a super misty, rainy day, so I don't know what I think about that one. This is the little Plein Air set I made for the acrylic gouache. You do have to be careful that they don't dry out because they get very plasticky and then they're just garbage. They'll just dry. I showed these little bead boxes that I bought at Walmart in the video. I'll put a card up above of last week's art tour and new gear video. This actually worked pretty well. I just squeeze the colors into there. These little lids just snap down. When I get home, I take a spray bottle and just spritz them, and they have stayed nice and fresh so far, but I've only been using this for a week. So I just put them in here and they fit nicely in this little box. I think this box was maybe $2 or $3 at Walmart. And then here I keep just a paper towel. I keep it kind of damp to keep some more moisture in. And for my palette, I put in the lid here a wet paper towel. And then I laid this piece of parchment paper on the top, and then I've been using that as my palette. And it's kind of a homemade Stay Wet palette. This is from this morning. It got pretty messy because it was raining. It rained on my palette. This is what I'm using as a little water cup. I don't like these clips on the bottom. I don't have anywhere to clip them on, so they're just a hassle. The one I use for oil painting, I took some tin snips and cut it off. I'll probably do that with this one too. It has a little gasket. Water is less hazardous to carry than thinner, so I don't worry as much about this one leaking. And so this whole set goes in my sketching pouch, which you can see in some of my other videos. I just slide it in there. There's my pencils and my waterproof pen. And all of this fits in here really easily. This morning I just chucked some watercolor paper in there. So I haven't tried many different papers with the gouache set yet. Here's another Plein Air painting I did with that gouache set. This was a very dark, deep in the forest, back in some old growth with a creek. There's a little bridge. I did this with the gouache set. I guess I've done 3 paintings with it before the paint ran out. This one, when I got home, I had to keep adding more and more lights. It came back really dark, and the woods were dark, but I'm having some problems getting a good value range, not just in these gouache paintings, but in all my paintings lately. I'm not sure why, but I am working on that. I think it's possibly just overworking them. So I don't dislike this one, but I'm looking for something more vibrant. Although this one's not perfect, this one turned out more vibrant and fun to look at. So anyway, working on that. And I got some new brushes this week. This is one of them. This is the Rosemary Co brushes. I accidentally got these short-handled ones, which I was a little disappointed with at first. But this actually fits really nicely in my little travel pencil case. So that's kind of nice actually. So it's not been so bad. When I'm painting outside, these really long-handled brushes are a little bit awkward anyway. I'm sitting closer to my easel than I would be in the studio. These have such a nice spring and these sharp tips for making. I really only needed to bring this one paintbrush with me today because the tips are so fine and sharp. I can make detail work with even a bigger brush. So I bought these on the recommendation from a couple of painters on YouTube. If you notice, here's one of my old hog bristle oil brushes compared to this new one. They're similar size, but this one's quite a bit fatter, so it behaves quite a bit different, and it's much stiffer. This is so flexible, but not too flexible. It's easy to pick up the paint. So I've been really enjoying these. They just put the paint on beautifully. I still love my old hog bristle filberts, but I'm really having fun with these new brushes. Here's an actual sketch that I did this week. This was taken from a photo that I took a week or so ago when it's sunny up in a muskeg. I really loved these 2 dead spikes of trees here. This was really fun to do. And I have been reading Ian Roberts' book called Mastering Composition, and he was talking about the importance of just practicing sketches that focus on values, just a dark value, a mid-tone value, and a light value. So I was working with that concept here, and I was working on that concept in an even more simplified way. This almost looks like a hamburger with cheese. But there was a couple of little islands here, and then just a bank of trees across there. So I was going for the dark, let's see, I think this was dark, mid-tone, and light values. Didn't differentiate between the dark and mid-tone terribly well. And here's a similar exercise. This one is hard to tell what it is because I really tried to divide it into just shapes, dark, mid-tone, and light. There's a little fly fisherman here. This is a creek near a lake here. So I was just working on composition and value and just having fun. And this one, it was fun because I had my dog Edna in there. So I really like this one. Maybe make a painting out of that one. He recommends always making a thumbnail sketch before you ever even start a painting, which I'm guilty of not doing. So I'd like to do that a little bit more. This is an in plein air oil painting that I did at our local lake. When it was raining, I was sitting in a shelter. It's been raining a lot lately. And trying to get used to painting, even though I've oil painted for 4 decades. I'm trying to learn to paint with this little tiny pochade box, paint quickly, try to get the right colors the first time instead of working and reworking it like I always have done before. This color of this grass turned out a little fluorescent for my taste. Again, I think I don't have enough value range. I'd like the darks to be darker, the lights to be lighter. I finished this one and I think I must have been sitting there about a half an hour. Here's one that I did at a different lake. There's this old log here. There's a whole bunch of logs in this lake because this lake was dammed up back in the early 1950s. So I sat on this little kind of sandy peninsula and tried to capture this log with these misty mountains back here and these trees. I was pretty happy with this one. Again, I think every single oil painting I did outside this week still doesn't have enough value range. Darks to the light. I do have the lights up here. I think my darks could just be pushed a little bit more. Maybe I could have had a composition where the darks kind of come up through here, or maybe I could have, I'm not sure. I'd like to work on some composition. This book, Mastering Composition, has a lot of ideas for different composition styles and approaches, so I'm excited to learn more about that. Here's another one I did at the same lake, but looking across at a different view. There's this little shelter here where fly fishermen like to go. Sometimes we'll go there and sit and have tea and play ball with the dogs. I'm fairly happy with this one. I was able to kind of capture the feeling of mist. Again, in my effort to get lights here without using too much white, my greens ended up kind of almost have like a kind of acidy look to them. I'm not sure if I like that color, but they are light, so still working on color and value. That's probably something one never stops working on. I think this was my first en plein air painting I did with my new pochade box. This is yet again at a different pond. I'm actually pretty happy with this one. I think I was able to get a decent value range. I think it could still be pushed a little more. These darks back here could probably be a little darker, but I do like aspects of this one. And this was a sunny day, so I think it's a little easier on a sunny day to get more color, more value. Some of these ones that I did in the gloomy areas, they're just gloomy, so it's a little harder for your eye to pick up where the lights and darks are. It all looks just dark. Same with this one. It was very rainy this morning and misty. This is probably my least favorite one. And this is one that I painted yesterday and I was out on a beach. I'll put a card up above for this video because this painting was this week's vlog. So I was being attacked by bugs. It was raining. You can see in the video the rain is making my paint streak, so that was really frustrating. I had about 5 or 6 bugs glued into the sky when I got home, so I did a pretty quick basic base painting, and then when I got home I finished the beach and just kind of sharpened up some of the areas that had gotten streaked by the rain. I did also have to adjust my drawing. This Betten head, this is the end of an island, Betten Island over here. I love that interesting shape so much, I made it way too big. You can see that in the video. So when I got home, I shaved that down and just kind of adjusted some things. So that's this oil painting. This is the new book that I got that I'm pretty excited about. Mastering Composition by Ian Roberts. I got it used off of Amazon, and it not only is filled with his beautiful paintings. Don't know if you can see that with the glare. I love his paintings. I found him on YouTube. He is one of the 2 people that I'm watching a lot to learn more about landscape painting, alla prima painting. Those are not his. Let's see. Yeah, that's Gustav Klimt. These are all his paintings here, so it's very inspirational. He gives you step-by-step ideas on how to block in, how to put in your colors. He gives you a lot of ideas how to set up still lives to just practice your composition, your light, your values. And I really have been enjoying this book. He even has ideas for compositions for portraits, how to crop things, how to design things, color mixing, how to apply your color. I'm just finding this to be a really useful book, really enjoying it. So I would recommend. One of his ideas, which is where I got the ideas for these, is to sketch a composition a day. So it's not just a sketch a day, like not just painting, not just drawing like a dog's portrait or something like this, but to make a composition, to practice getting an interesting composition and your values and your tones in a whole space that would be like a canvas, just to practice. So I'm trying to do that. That's why I did these full drawings, and I did these block in drawings. He has some examples of blocking in, like right here and right here. So I'm trying to follow his ideas. Anyway, I would recommend this book. Thanks for joining me today on this little art tour of the week. I hope that it helps inspire you. I would love to hear your comments about what you're working on. If you have questions about mediums, what my advice would be, what I've learned about using these different mediums in the studio and out in the field. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Stay creative and have fun.